We have heard officials from the ministry seemingly very proud of the fact that over 400 persons have recently been appointed. What they have conveniently forgotten is the number of years that these persons have had to wait, some in excess of 10 years, for these appointments to come through. The fact too that in many instances there are too many others still awaiting appointment. Some of those persons are persons who fall under the Public Service Act and therefore should have been appointed from the 1st of January 2008, and they still remain, as we say in the BSTU, disappointed. This meeting too comes against the backdrop of recent disturbing statements by the Minister of Finance in relation to what seems to be impending layoffs, possible layoffs, and further taxation. I have already made a statement to the effect, a public statement to the effect that the BSTU will certainly not be tolerating any talk of layoffs in relation to our members. And therefore we need to secure your appointments, that process, before there's any further unfortunate action from government in relation to any impending layoffs. And so this meeting today is a very important one. We have had a situation where even in instances where appointments have taken place, we've had problems with the methods used. We have had reports of some persons being interviewed 2 and 3 and 4 times for the same position. And in some instances, those 2 and 3 and 4 extra interviews have occurred after persons had been interviewed originally for permanent positions. And if you have had one interview when you've first gone into the school comprised of a proper interviewing body, then there's absolutely no need for you to have to go through a second interview or for there to be a second or third advertisement to get your appointment, to get your status regularized. And so persons have had to endure countless interviews. And the risk with every interview taken is something that we have been seeing occurring, where because the interviews are now public, persons from, I can safely say throughout the public service, because it's not just from other schools outside of yours, are applying for these positions. And when they apply, in some instances we have had situations where persons have been appointed, persons outside of that particular school, and persons who are not the same as those who had been acting in the position for X amount of years. The excuse being given is that X or Y performed best in the interview. And so we are having a situation where, in some instances, the years, in some instances, many years of work that you have engaged in, of satisfactory work, with no negative reports against you, have been overlooked, and other persons hired to fill a position that should in fact be yours. In some instances, there have been persons junior, so they have totally dismissed seniority, We are not saying necessarily that seniority should be the only consideration. But certainly if you have been in a position acting, there are no negative reports against you. You've had, in fact, good reports. Your temporary position has now become an established one, and you going for an interview, any interview scoring or ranking process should put you ahead of anybody else to start with, because you come with a history, you come with a background. And in some instances, this has not been happening. Persons that would have expected, in all reasonableness, and persons who had legitimate expectations of being appointed have not been appointed. So there have been a lot of anomalies. We have had